Hi, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here. I'm Victoria Chavez, a Senior Advisory Services Consultant here at TEC. With me here today is presenting Mehdi Aftahi, Chief Technical Officer, CTO, and co-founder here at TEC, who many of you probably already know very well. TEC's an impartial, or Technology Evaluation Centers, is an impartial global software advisory firm that specializes in the planning, the research, evaluation, selection, and supporting businesses with the adoption of the best fit enterprise software to help them to save time, money, and most importantly, to manage some risks. I'd like to give a special thanks to technowebinars.com for their continued partnership and support in making webinars like today's happen and possible. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Oscar. Muchas gracias. And to the entire team for being here as well. In terms of today's webinar, Mehdi, I had many recent clients discuss with me about some CRM and some best practices for selecting the best CRM when it comes to like niche industries and how there's not one size fits all. So I kind of invited some of those folks to join us here today. I hope that they get a lot of valuable information from your presentation and you know, learn some of the key factors for best approach on comparing those CRM solutions and being able to manage those risks while doing so. But just before we get started with that, I wanted to let everyone know after the presentation, it should be about 45 minutes or so. So after the presentation, Mehdi will open the floor so that we can get some questions in. I'm sure you're going to have some pretty good questions to throw our way. Just raise your hand if you have anything that you would like to share with us, or you can put it in the chat. We'll get to you accordingly. So thank you very much for being here today, and I'll let you go ahead and get started. Thanks, Mehdi.
Yeah, thank you very much, Victoria, for the introduction, and thanks again for TechnoWebinar to invite us and to give us the floor to talk about the trends and the you know, the applications in the market. This talk today is about comparing CRM software side by side, but also go through a little bit of, you know, some of the, you know, the best practices in terms of how to do the evaluation and what to look for when you are evaluating CRM applications. So I've done another CRM, how to evaluate CRM webinar, just a recap on in general on how anyone has to go through an enterprise application selection process. Based on our best practice methodology, we have 4 different you know, phases to any evaluation and selection project. And today we're going to be focusing on the second one, which is technical assessment. But you have to also be you know, taking into account that the planning, the qualitative assessment, and the negotiation parts are going to be part of your overall evaluation. Although today we are going to go through a technical assessment and a little bit more detail in that. So just again to recap on what those other phases are, is the phase 1, which is your planning, which is going through the business processes and your strategies and your current architecture to define the target architecture and build a plan in terms of creating the scope of the project. Now, this could be a CRM or an ERP project, but in any case, you need to define the scope as it fits into your general architecture within your organization. Then you're talking about the technical assessments, which we're going to be talking and going through some examples on how to do that, which is by looking at your business processes and functionality and creating a list that represents your requirements and functionality that you need from the vendors. And prior to contacting the vendors and evaluating the vendors. So that becomes part of your generating the short list of your solutions. Once you have the short list, you can go But anyways, so I was talking about the qualitative assessment of the vendors. Once you pass the technical stuff, which is getting you into the shortlist, in the qualitative assessment, it's a big step, which is showing the demos, which you're going to be able to see basically the technical capabilities of the vendors as it relates to your businesses and business processes and operation. Of course, checking references and cost consideration is next. So that way you can complete the due diligence and get into the negotiation, which is the next step, which is going through the finalist list and basically get a strategy in the negotiations. First, negotiate the terms and the conditions of the contract, and making sure that everything is to your liking and you agree with every single term that is in the contract, and then finally negotiate the price, and hopefully you can sign the contract and start the implementation process. So this is overall the 4 phases of the evaluation. Now, as I said before, we're going to be focusing on the technical assessment from a CRM point of view, and to show what are the functionality items or the characteristics that CRM applications have, and which one in the market right now can fulfill some of those criteria. In general, we can categorize the functionality of CRM into 3 major categories. So back office support, core functionality, and niche and complementary functionality. In the back office support is the finance integration, billing and invoicing, contract management. And in the niche and complementary functionality, we have email response management, workflow management, document management, internationalization, which is very important when you're talking about multinational companies, and also industry-specific functionality, which Victoria mentioned a little bit. So because the CRM packages, they have specific best practices tailored towards specific industries and sub-industries. So we need to look at those all the time. Now, when we look at the CRM functionality, as I mentioned, we have the Salesforce automation, marketing automation, customer service and support analytics, extended CRM, and product technology. If we break down a little bit what those functionalities are, we're looking at Salesforce automation, which breaks down into opportunity management, sales forecasting, and so on. So we're going to get into a little bit of more detail on each one of these later on with the vendor information. This is just to give you a little bit of an overview of what these functionalities are. Marketing automation is anything to do with marketing and campaign management and execution in terms of getting the leads into your system and starting the sales process. And service and support is after sales. So basically, if there's a case, there's an escalation, assigning the cases, and so on. This is to keep the customers happy. And also analytics and reporting, which is the key to any enterprise application in terms of how things are and how things are moving. When we're looking at the extended CRM functionality, we're looking at email response management, which is anything to do with email campaigns, the usability of emails, and reporting on the campaign effectiveness and handling errors. So this is, again, it's a package that some CRM packages have it embedded, and some that you can actually get some add-ons or different applications specifically for email marketing and email management. Workflow is another key component of CRM, especially when you're talking about especially if you're talking about automation of marketing efforts and sales. So you have certain applications that allow you to define specific activities and processes and manage them in a workflow. Document management, again, sales and collateral related to sales that you have to manage within the CRM allows you to have everything under one single system and make sure that everything is properly documented and enables the efficiency of the system and processes going forward. We have international and, as I mentioned before, we have industry vertical modules. So as I said before, you have a specific functionality for these sub-industries or industries in particular, for example, for automotive, communication, customer sector, and consumer sector, and so on. So each one of these sectors or industries have specific best practices that can be implemented through a proper CRM implementation. So having said that, I just wanted to briefly talk about the number of criteria that we are going to be looking at in this exercise right now. And we are looking at about 1,100 criteria overall, which is about, about 250 of them are in the extended CRM, about 250 in the Salesforce automation and marketing automation each, and the rest are scattered through other criteria. So mostly we are looking at 75% of our evaluation criteria of the functionality are coming from the extended Salesforce and marketing automation pieces within the organization, within this. And typically, if you're looking at, the importance of the criteria, you will see that around 30% should come from extended. Salesforce is about 15%, marketing 15%. But this is something that, depending on your specific requirements and needs and the industry you're in, and the functions that you want to enable within the CRM, you can change the priority and see how it affects the overall performance of the vendors. Now, what determines what kind of priorities you have to assign to each of these criteria is really depends on what you're looking for and what kind of benefits you're trying to achieve by implementing a CRM package. So some of the things or the benefits of the CRM that you can think of, and it can be, some of them are more important for you, some of them are probably not some nice to haves, but generally speaking, any organization that goes through a CRM implementation, they're looking for improved customer experience, which is to be able to provide their customers with better service and making sure that you have increased customer retention. So these two go hand in hand. So the better customer experience you have, the bigger chance that you retain that customer and you won't lose them to your competitors. The other benefit of implementing CRM is increase in efficiency and productivity within the processes that are controlled by the CRM. So of course, this is a very general terms in terms of any enterprise application where you actually implement those applications to increase efficiency and productivity. But here we're talking about specifically sales operation and marketing activities. Another very important factor, which is very specific to CRM applications, is improved communications and managing those communications. So how you contact your clients and how do you contact, or what timing you're going to be contacting your prospects or the potential clients is very important. And usually that timeliness and to the point kind of contact and nurturing the clients allows you to increase the sales and better return on your sales activities. At the same time, CRM allows you to have a better data capture and management. So if you are looking at similar deals or the different contacts and over time, CRM allows you to go back and basically manage the data in one single source, and you don't have to go through various Excel sheets and different processes to capture or to get the data that you want in terms of moving forward with your activities or your operations. Of course, all of these are really geared towards sales optimization, which is increasing your sales and also allowing you to do upsells and cross sells and things that allows your revenue to grow as your efficiency and productivity is optimized as well. Other benefits could also be marketing execution optimization, which is allowing your marketing processes to be optimized and to reach out to more clients or more potential clients. And once you reach out to them, to be able to convert them through streamlined processes within your sales process. Of course, something that everybody is talking about is the scalability, which means that once you have these processes under a platform that is scalable, you can easily grow your organization without worrying about how to handle the processes that comes with it. Having said that, so these are the major benefits that you can get from a CRM implementation. I looked at several vendors in this market, which are supposed to be, or they are considered as front runners within the CRM environment. Of course, Salesforce is one of the first cloud vendors that started off with the I believe one of the first ever enterprise applications that offered cloud solutions, and the rest followed. Right now, they are considered as the front runner, and you will see in the analysis that I have coming that they're mostly covering most of the functionality within the CRM pretty well. We have Infor CRM, which is again another good product within the CRM market. Microsoft Dynamics CRM, which with the name changes, they're going through many different platforms and names and marketing blurbs that comes out of the Microsoft machine, but they managed to become one of the top tiers in the CRM from the day they started back in 15 years ago. They were basically non-competitive, but right now Microsoft CRM seems to be one of the, again, top, I would say 4 or 5 CRM packages that you can see. But also you have to, as I said before, you have to also consider the cost and other aspects of the evaluation and selection. Other CRM packages like Sage CRM, which they're probably middle tier to low or lower tier. They have very good functionality. Oracle and NetSuite. Oracle NetSuite also, there are 2 products that Oracle CRM and also NetSuite CRM Plus. They are very competitive, and they're becoming more competitive as we go forward. Both of these products came from Oracle NetSuite came from an ERP kind of environment. They moved on to the CRM area. Zoho is another upcoming vendor. We get a very good traction on some of the projects with Zoho, and of course SAP, which is C4C, which is one of the flagship products for CRM. We're going to be evaluating these applications in the next little while using our TECAdvisor, the platform that we have created to be able to create and evaluations for that. So just going to log in. So as I mentioned, we have within this platform, we have selected the vendors that I just named. These are some of the information that we have on them. In this platform, you can actually have much more products that we have available. But I picked these because these are the ones that often comes into the question when it comes to CRM evaluation. So the next step is really looking at priorities based on, again, what we want from these systems to achieve within our organization. You can set the priorities at every level. So this is the list that I was showing you on my PowerPoint presentation. So as you can see, each one of these items are divided into more and more details in terms of what each of these actually mean in terms of functionality and how it affects your organization. So to start with, I set everything to equal, so we are having an equal footing for every single functionality in here. But as you can imagine, because there are so many factors under these two, each one of these criteria are going to get less importance overall in the overall evaluation. So I won't touch the priorities as of yet until we'll look at a little bit more into the details of each one of these are. So as you can see, my marketing automation is campaign planning, campaign execution, legal, and list management, which is contacts and contact management and email campaigns, or campaigns are in general, not specifically email campaigns, but in general campaigns. It could be any kind of campaigns. So customer service and support, we have cases, case management, and these are very important in terms of maintaining a good relationship with your clients, and also service them where it needs to be. Analytics and reporting and extended CRM, as I mentioned before, it has emails and workflows, document management, internationalization, and industry support, which again breaks down into various industries. And each one of these, for automotive, for example, you have dealerships, car manufacturers, and importers and distributors for cars. So we are talking about if these vendors have a specific best practices already pre-configured for these applications. So just so we understand this whole model, I'm just going to click on compare results to just take a sneak peek on how these vendors that we have selected actually compare. Then we're going to come back and change some of the some of the priorities. As you can see, we have Salesforce as the front runner at 95%, then SAP at 93%, and Infor at 92%, NetSuite as 90%, and Dynamics at 89%, which means that if we consider all the criteria within this model, for each of these guys, up to 90% of the criteria is supported. Now, of course, that doesn't talk about the cost or anything that comes in that way, for sure, you need to also take into account how much it's going to cost you and in the implementation. Now, the other thing that is important to look at is that how each of these vendors are doing for any of these specific areas. So for example, when we look at Salesforce automation, you can see that Salesforce.com or Salesforce as a product actually still maintain its leadership position. However, the second place goes to NetSuite, and then third place is Dynamics, and SAP fell into the sixth place. Of course, there's still top 90% coverage, but you can see that just for the Salesforce automation, SAP lost its second place to NetSuite. Also, when we look at marketing automation, now NetSuite is the front runner. So this is to illustrate the fact that you really need to understand what you want from these applications for you and which one of these criteria are more important. For example, if you're mainly looking at marketing automation, then Salesforce is not really the front runner and NetSuite is, although the difference is very minimal. Which means that they're equal, but then you need to consider all the other factors. In terms of Salesforce automation, again, you have the different ranking of the vendors, and depending on the criteria that you're looking for and what's important for you and why you're doing the CRM implementation to begin with, you can deal with different vendors. Something to consider also is that some of these applications like Sugar CRM is actually pretty decent in offering the functionality. So it means that you don't really have to go with the big names and the big vendors all the time if you're really looking at Salesforce automation or any other niche functionality. So you can see, for example, even marketing automation, Sugar CRM is at 94.58, which is around 95% coverage. So you could be a very, very good deal if you're looking at these kinds of applications and this kind of functionalities you're desired. So again, customer service and support, you can see that Zoho, for example, at 96%, and most of these companies are really higher than 90% coverage on customer service and support. Analytics and reporting, that's where you can see that Salesforce is actually very good, as well as NetSuite, SAP, Oracle, and Infor. And Dynamics falls behind a little bit, but we still have a very good, coverage in terms of the analytics and reporting. We also have within the extended CRM, if you look at email marketing is something that the top vendors are actually doing very well, but you can start seeing some gaps between the tier 1 vendors in terms of email marketing and the rest of the pack. So the next one down is around 83, which is a huge gap between the first one and the last one. The first and Microsoft in here, which means that if email response management, for example, is a key criteria looking at, there are much better solutions for you in the market. Workflow, and I'm just going to click on some of these to just give you an idea on how these things are ranked in each one of these criteria. So industry verticals are actually very important, as we mentioned before. And here you can see that companies such as SAP and Microsoft and Oracle and Infor and Sage, Microsoft and Microsoft, Oracle, and SAP, they have a better coverage on the industry-specific criteria than some of the other ones. But you may also imagine that because you are not looking at all of those industries, you have to look at your specific industry. And for example, if you're looking at automotive, you want to see which one actually covers it. So Dynamics is actually very good, other than SAP, which SAP covers all the industries in this case. And so if you are looking at, for example, high tech, again, you look at Microsoft Dynamics and Oracle that are pretty good in there. So these are some of the stuff that you have to look at. And now I'm just going to look at to go behind the scene and see where these data is actually coming from and how do we come up with these numbers. So if you look at the overall, let's say, functionality, we can go to the deepest level. So in this application, what we have is the corresponding capabilities of all of these vendors. So for example, here you can see for contract documents, for the functionality that says contract can be created using the pre-designed templates. Oracle is using a third-party application to do that, whereas NetSuite, Sugar CRM, and all the rest probably are supporting it out of the box. How this thing is actually converted into numerical values is that we do not expect the vendors to have a yes and no kind of answers. So we have a scaling scale of the stepping scale of responses, so from supported all the way to not supported, but lots of other responses in between. So for example, if you're supporting through a third party, you get only 60% of the score, whereas if you're supporting it through a partner, which is a partner that has done this kind of integration or solution before and is tested and true, you get 95% of the score. So this way, we can just then sum up the criteria and then go through the entire hierarchy and see how each of these vendors are actually supporting or not supporting any of this data. So as you can see, for example, in here, you have this criteria that is supported via modification for Oracle and within customization for Sage CRM, and also supported for all of the other ones except Zoho does it through customization and Infor through modification. So this is another indication on how much work you need to do in terms of making the application successfully implemented if some of these criteria are part of your wish list and something that you actually have to have. So I'll mark this down. So I'm just going to make another comment later on. So once we know this data is how the data is captured, so if we go back to our prioritization screen, so for example here, I can put this item as a critical factor and I want supported. So this is how we can pinpoint problem areas within the software. But also what I can do, I can just go back in here and change the priority. So let's say that our organization is looking mainly for a marketing automation. So I'm going to put this as a higher priority. Salesforce automation is, let's say, it's a nice to have, and customer service and support is probably a must have Or let's make that within the extended CRM, let's make that a very important. And also, I want to go back in here and say, for example, email marketing for me is critical, and I want to have at least, let's say, 95% support on that email marketing, email response management criteria. This way, what I can do, if you notice, we have changed the importance of each of these criteria, and also I can go down in here and say, for example, within the marketing automation, campaign planning is very important, and as you can see, the pie chart reflects the priorities that are being assigned, and campaign execution and management is a must-have. Lead and list management is very important. Campaign management is a nice to have, and marketing resource management is very important. So I'm just randomly, it's not that important. So this gives me a distribution, and now if we go back to the top level and look at the compare results in here, you can see the picture is changed completely. Of course, it's still Salesforce automation is number one, but I don't remember the score was around 96 or 97. Now it's down to 95. As well, we can see that, for example, Infor, which has 92% coverage, is still, but we fail two critical criteria. One is the one that we chose that say, okay, within each opportunity record, the product ultimately purchased and not ultimately purchased by the indicated. This is supported by modification, which is we ask for it to be supported by out of the box. And also in email response management, we ask for 95% and up score, and Infor is scoring at 80%. So this could be a deal breaker for us. So that means that if we were counting on the CRM to do email response management fully for us, this product is a little bit behind the rivals, which is SAP and Salesforce on top. Other criteria, let's say, for example, we're looking at NetSuite. Let's look at that one. That again, you're looking at 83% on email response management, Sugar CRM, email response management. This one, again, we put two critical criteria in there, and most of these vendors are failing one or the other. And within that one, you can see that, for example, this criteria is supported by a customization, whereas we asked for supported, and email campaign management, again, is the problem for Sugar and Sage CRM, and as well as Zoho. So this is the way we can actually look at the overall evaluation and putting in place some critical factors to make sure that what we're looking for in terms of the must-haves and things that we have to absolutely have, it's taken into account, and we can actually implement the software to our advantage within the organization. Another piece that I wanted to show here is how we can actually compare head-to-head the applications. And as you can see here, the radar diagram, the more outwards in terms of the colors you can see, is the better the software is. So the gap that you can see here in the white gap is where your application is not actually performing as well. So for example, in this case, you're looking at Salesforce automation around 80%, around 95%, sorry. There's certain gaps between for that and marketing automation, whereas for customer service and support and analytics and extended CRM, SAP is doing a really good job. In terms of the other applications, you can see that there is a different level of support throughout. So you can actually here, by overlapping this, you can see the gap between the products. So for example, here, number 6, which is product technology, there is a huge gap for some of these vendors. So you can see that this one, which is Sage, is lacking some of the technology criteria that we have. And you can see overall why they're scoring at 71%, because they barely go above 80% in any of the main factor and the criteria that we have. We can do this analysis at any level. So you can go down and look at the various charts with respect to the sub-criteria within the applications. And there is a different chart as well that it gives you a better idea on how the vendors are head-to-head going forward. So for example, here, if I put Salesforce, which is the front runner everywhere, you can see that they basically beat everybody throughout all of the modules, except in a couple of areas within internet sales or web commerce. So that's the only 2 areas that are lacking some of the they're beaten by their competitors. But you can see that, oh, we are looking at the Salesforce automation. Overall, this is where it is. So in terms of product technology, they're lacking a little bit and so on. So if I look, for example, Microsoft CRM, here we can see that if the bar is on the right, so you have within the Salesforce automation, you have some of these items are actually beating Microsoft to it, and some areas Microsoft is actually much better than the rest. So this is an indication where the problem areas are. So for example, for Microsoft, we can see that there are much better applications in terms of reporting and analytics. In terms of the product technology, they're lacking a little bit behind. But in terms of Salesforce automation and marketing automation, they have a very decent product compared to the competitors. I can do this for example, NetSuite. And now you can see that NetSuite is actually pretty good as well. So for most of the main modules, they're ahead of the pack. And with an exception of probably Salesforce, which is this guy here, we can actually look at the pretty good coverage overall. I think this should give you a very good idea in terms of how to compare and how to get the information to compare the different CRM packages, but also we should also consider the cost, and the cost is something that you have to put into place, like in total cost of ownership. And in this application, we can actually put that cost in there and put the actual cost of the implementation and licenses over the 5 years, and then make a value analysis in terms of how the applications are actually costing us and which one is more cost effective to purchase. I believe I'm running out of time, so I just want to leave another 10-15 minutes for any questions that may come in, and I hope that it gives you a little bit of information about some of the items that we have in there. So if there are any questions, I'm ready to answer if you want.
Thank you so much, Mehdi. That was a great presentation. It's no secret that every time you present, I love it, and I'm fully attentive because you make it seem so easy to comprehend. We do have, excitingly, quite a few questions here, about 5 or so questions. So let's get started on those. But if you have any questions, additional questions that you didn't send through the chat, please feel free to raise your hand and Oscar will open your mic for you. So the first question is, does TEC have any instances where clients have been asked to stay on for the adoption part to go live? And if so, has this been a successful process, and is it something that TEC would recommend?
What do you mean by stay on?
From the selection point to the setting the solution up.
So you mean TEC would stay on, or I don't understand the question.
Do you have any like use case scenarios where TEC would stay on to support them to set up this solution to go live?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. We have implementation services, but our implementation services is like an advisory service, which is not really getting involved in the implementation activities, but rather stay on as advisors to the project management team on the client side. So basically managing the vendors and the implementation partners and making sure that they're fulfilling their obligations for the contract that we sign with them. So we are not implementers, but we are going to be staying on if the clients want to be their voice in terms of making sure that the vendors and the implementer or system integrators live up to the expectation, and we manage on the client side. We also manage the project with the help of the project manager. We don't do implementation, but we actually have services as advisory during the implementation.
Thank you, Mehdi. What about AI in a CRM? Is that something that can be measured, and is it something that can be a part of the assessment?
Yes, for sure. The AI functionality is now getting very much traction in ERPs and CRMs. And if you look at, for example, Microsoft CRM right now, they have the Copilot, which is Sales Copilot, which allows you to connect different information with respect to the clients, link that to LinkedIn and other social media, together with your email and everything else, the activities that go around it. So within CRM, it's a very good place where AI can make that link between various platforms and help you formulate the next course of action for the client. It's not a very well matured subject yet. It's coming up. Some companies are ahead of the other ones, such as Microsoft probably ahead with the Copilot. I haven't seen yet a demo of the other applications other than CRM, but for sure this is something that it should be part of your evaluation. But also you have to think about what you need those functionalities for. So just for the sake of having AI, it doesn't mean that you have to throw everything else to just get the AI. So you need to see the entire functionality, and if the AI enables more functionality for you, or pushes the vendor over the finish line, then it's a good addition to the for your organization. But you also have to think about most of the vendors that we are looking at on the screen right now are cloud solutions, right? So CRM is one of the first software categories that utilized the cloud and cloud technology. And the good thing about that is that by going on the cloud, the moment that these functionalities are enabled on the platform, you will get them. So you don't need to go through various system upgrades or different applications to be able to enable that within your organization.
That actually follows up to another question that we had about someone that has a solution in place now, but they want to do just an upgrade with just some features and functions. Do you recommend that they actually do a full-blown evaluation and selection to be able to compare those different solutions in the market? Or do you think that, and would that be considered an implementation, a full re-implementation? Sorry, excuse me.
For sure, whenever there is a change in your platform, it's worth looking at, stepping back and see how that change would fit in the overall your overall enterprise architecture, right? So sometimes the changes are little, and you think that, okay, that little change doesn't change anything much in a bigger picture, but then there's another change, that after a while your system becomes patches of little changes and a major application that no longer is coherent and can function properly. So my recommendation always is that before you apply any changes or add-on or putting an add-on for anything, just look at the overall picture to see if there is a possibility to have your incumbent vendor or the solution to support that through re-implementation or adding or enabling a new module or doing something like that. If it's not, then you have to consider, is it worth to add a third party, or should we switch the vendors and go to another vendor to make sure that the overall application integrity is untouched? Of course, all of these have to be aligned with the resources and the money and the budgets that you have. Of course, you don't want to throw out the application the moment that you have a new need, and that emphasizes the fact that when you are doing this selection in the first place, you have to look at your future requirements. You have to look at what really within 3 years, within 5 years, what can come down the pipe for you, and make sure that the application that you select is compatible with your growth and your vision.
Excellent, thank you. In your presentation, Mehdi, you shared, for example, Sugar CRM was pretty close to the others in terms of weighted average. How can we make a final decision between two very similar ratings? What other factors should we consider to be sure it's like the best one for us?
Okay, so as I mentioned, like you can see on the screen, so there are a couple of things that you have to do. One is that you have to properly prioritize your requirements. So you can see that, for example, when I look at the Sugar CRM, and let's say between Sugar CRM and Oracle Cloud and even Microsoft Dynamics, overall, they are at 88, 89, and 90. So they're very, very close. So by changing the priorities and see what's important for us or not, you can see that that score may actually change. I have no idea how it's going to change. You can see Sugar CRM now is above Oracle. So that's one factor, which is your priority. What's really matters for you? If you remember in the previous scenario, Oracle, between the three of them here, Dynamics, Oracle, and then was Sugar CRM. Now it's Dynamics, Sugar, and Oracle. So, and you see Oracle went down all the way to 87 by just clicking the priorities or changing the priorities in one or two factors. Now, that's one. Second is really looking at the industry that you're in and see what kind of best practices those vendors have for your specific industries and the experience of your system integrators and people that are going to implement their solution for you. Looking at, of course, references and, demos, and making sure that the demos are in line with your specific critical priorities is also a key differentiating factors. Last, I would say cost. You have to really go through all of these technical aspects. And of course, the cost will become a major decision factor at the end. But you don't want to deal with the cost right up front, because you may, if you deal with the cost right up front, you may go with the cheapest solution, which doesn't do much for you. Right? You want to make sure that all of those critical criteria that you put in there are satisfied, and then negotiate with the vendors and go through the costing exercise. Okay.
Thank you, Mehdi. And the last question I have here is, there's two more questions. Do we need to hire your services to use that tool, TECAdvisor?
You have some kind of engagement. You have to develop some kind of engagement with us. For sure, we can offer you services that caters to your specific needs. And you can see that what you have on the left side here is our standard model. So this doesn't really apply to all the clients. So what we have as a service is a service that customizes and tailor makes this application towards your specific requirements and needs. So there might be certain criteria or functions that you need that is not in here, or there are certain stuff that you don't care about that is in here. So we can tailor make that functionality list for you, and then you can have access to this application. Our preference is that you actually hire us to do the entire project for you, for sure.
Which you won't regret. We'll exceed those expectations. And Mehdi, the last question here is, how long does it take to get a CRM system up and running in a small to mid-sized business?
Well, depends on the complexity of the processes and how basically you want to get away from implementing everything out of the box, or you want to have certain customizations done. CRM packages, out of the box, you can get it within a couple of months, depending on, again, the complexity of the processes, and up to, let's say, 6-7 months. There are some projects which is we can be longer than that, but that's probably we're looking at much bigger organizations where there are lots of different departments and different processes involved. But I would say for a small, medium business, between 2 to 4 months should be end-to-end implementation.
I think they're excited to hear that, because you think implementation, it's going to be months and months and months.
Again, this is something that you're looking at CRM functionality, and most of it should be out of the box or with a little bit of configuration, I would say, not customization. If you're doing customization, then you need to do source code changes and things like that. That is completely different.
Yeah, time management.
Our recommendation is to do a proper selection to begin with, where you know that most of the functionality that you want, as it was shown here, most of the functionality is supported out of the box. So you want to make sure that your critical functionalities don't have this kind of modifications or supported by our customizations on them. So if you do that, then you can, guarantee to a certain point that you're minimizing the level of customization, which means minimizing the time to implement and cost of implementation. If you don't do that, if you just go based on, oh, I heard this company bought this software, and without considering what you're really looking for, then you're going to be in for a big surprise during the implementation, where you're going to figure out things as you go that, oh, they don't do that. No, they say, yes, we can do it, but it's going to cost you this much, and you have to customize. So that's where the importance of proper selection comes to the picture. And again, we can do that for the clients.
Thank you. Yes, and if you are interested in learning a bit more about our approach, or if you have a project that you're working on yourself, please do reach out to us. You can get more information by contacting us at advisoryservices@tech-centers.com. We're very prompt to respond to you, and we can set up a meeting anytime. Thank you to technowebinars.com again for their continuous support and their partnership. Thank you so much, Mehdi, today. It's always a pleasure to see your presentations, and we look forward to the next webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
We are Technology Evaluation Centers. The choice is clear.